Hey, welcome to Absolutely. I'm Sal. That's Hassan. This episode is brought to you by This Hot Sauce Is, go to thishotsauceis.com. Check out Benny's special magic sauce. You'll love it on everything. Spray it on your food and eat it. We just heard this interesting piece of information, which is basically just an echo of what Sony's been like rattling from the rooftops as often as possible, which is they want to make a Spider-Man villain movie. They've been wanting to make it. It's why they ruined Vulture and put him in a Venom movie. But now, okay, all right, you don't like them Madam Webs? Cartoons! You idiots like those cartoons? How about we make a Spider-Man villain movie, but it's a cartoon?
Without Spider-Man?
Of course!
No, I don't want it.
I don't want any of your non-Spider-Man related Spider-Man property. I just don't want it. But like that, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So yeah, that's the thing. To you, Hassan, does the cartoon angle make it any more palatable?
No, I actually only care about my villains in the context of my heroes.
Yes.
If not, they're just guys doing things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he's not like it's dumb. It's dumb, and it's crazy that we've gotten we've spent even almost $1 billion on movies that are all Sony ancillary side project, whatever that some studio whipped up to try and make money off a property that they should just sell to a better studio, being the MCU.
I mean, like, at the very least, subcontract further. You know, like, every time that we hear about, like, a Marvel-Sony co-production, it's always, like, with the caveat of, there's a bunch of different provisions and restrictions. I mean, like, you know, Betty Brant's going to look like Gwen Stacy, and, you know, we're going to put Silk in there for no reason, and, Ned
cut her out.
Also
then
Ganky,
we'll cut her out altogether.
And we'll cut her out. Like, you know, it's just, like, it's all these really random, weird, like, it's almost the thing you want, but then we did something else, and the something else is made clearly, you know, no one who's making these movies is like, I wish we could make Spider-Man, but it looks weird. Yeah. They all want to do the thing.
It's, and like, you know, we just did a long video on Madam Web, so I won't go into it again, but you really, if you wanted to use Madam Web, why didn't you just have a web-swinging female Spider-Man movie?
Yeah. You had 3 Spider-Women in your movie. You could have had you could have focused on one.
Yeah. At no point, even in the less than 30-second sequence, we see them the costume to any of them web swing, like at all.
Which is frustrating because one of the highest compliments people give to Sony and when they have Spider-Man all to themselves is the web slinging. Like, Amazing Spider-Man's web slinging is popularly more acceptable than Tom Holland's web slinging. Which I'm like, I would love to see him do it at some point in these movies.
Outside of Far From Home at the end, where he's web swinging while being on the phone and holding his data, and it's a really cool sequence. It's a great sequence. We just don't get a lot of that, and I think that's more John Watts than it is Marvel. I think that like as a director, he didn't want to rehash that. Which was stupid.
I understand the motivation. I hate it. I understand as an artist, you're like, I don't want to do what came before. I don't want to, you know.
It's the Rian Johnson effect,
right? But like you did sign on to make a Star Wars movie. You did sign on to make a Spider-Man movie. Like, you are here to make this. I understand. Like, if you're playing like 4D chess as an artist and an instrument of Hollywood, and you're doing this so you could do that. Do this first at least, and then you can go do that. But like, make Spider-Man web sling.
Yeah, all the pitches. I think everything I've heard Sony churn out recently has been really hard to listen to and stupid.
Yes.
Like Madam Web was unwatchable. I would know. I watched it 5 times. Morbius was unwatchable. Venom has like comedic beats because Tom Hardy's really good.
Yeah.
But it's not a good movie, and it's a very bad utilization of like an otherwise super interesting character, right? Because if we had gotten Venom into the MCU, like when Spider-Man got into it, I don't know when they would choose to use it. Maybe they'd use it in Far From Home or something, you know, whatever. But we have this suit existing. We could have sent Venom out in space with the Guardians already.
Yeah,
we could have sent Eddie or Flash Thompson. You know, I don't really like that actor who plays Flash Flash. I think he's a funny actor, but imagine, you know, he bulks up and we get him a military style, and he, you know, we set up Venom's out in space doing Venom stuff, and he's on Earth in the military, and then hey, we're gonna get Agent Venom. There's a lot we could have done with these characters, obviously Madam Web is not a character we want to use. None of those Spider Women are characters that we want to use. And I'm sorry, I like the 90s Spider-Man animated thing. I like Madam Web in the context of that show, I guess, but I don't really like her outside of
I
that.
don't care. I've never liked Madam Web. I'll as the big Spider-Man fan in the room, I'll say I don't like Madam Web at all. I don't care. I never was excited about Madam Web. So like I'm not, but like we knew that. Like when they announced they were gonna make a Madam Web movie, it was as terrible an idea as the Aunt May movie, right? Like, or as a J. Jonah Jameson solo movie. Like these are all ideas that I'm like, you can't spend 80 to 100 million dollars on this idea because no one's going to accept it. At the very best, they'll be confused, and at the worst, they'll reject it out of hand. And I know that like Sony, or at least the people involved in these movies, they fancy themselves like the underdog, and they think that like they're going to pull a hat trick someday, and that they're going to like. I mean, the reality is, the Spider-Man animated movie won an Oscar, and you know. That's a feather in their cap, and it can't be ignored. And but at the same time, and I know they're riding high from it. Venom made $1 billion, you know, but the second Venom movie did not, and it sucked. So like even the one they have going for them, the one that everyone kind of agrees, they're like, I will admit I laughed when I watched Venom, you know, or I will admit it was cool to see Venom do Venom stuff, and I gotta admit I've seen like I've watched Venom at least twice. I've seen clips of Venom doing Venom things. It is fun to see, but it's only fun to see in the context of like a 30-second YouTube clip, and not in the context of like this guy's story. Yeah, you know, he's a villain, like you said. Set the villains against the hero, or if he's an anti-hero, explain why and put him in the context of the world he's from. But like this cartoon villain thing, it's just it's a extension of the larger problem, which is that Sony refuses to learn that they like need to stop, or at the very least they need to learn like that they need to work with others. You know, like they were wrong from the jump when they were offered the Marvel universe as a licensing opportunity. When they could buy the film rights to Spider-Man, they were offered the rest of Marvel, and reportedly said something like, who gives a crap about anyone other than Spider-Man? And they didn't get, you know what I mean? Like they could have had an MCU in 2001, and they didn't regard it.
Thank God they didn't, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know.
Would have been the end of the comic book bubble. None of us would have jobs here.
It would not have happened. Like they would have made like one really, really crappy Captain America movie, and the whole thing would have just fallen apart. But like they clearly don't regard it, or at least because the same people made that decision are still in charge now, over 20 years like later. And so to see them make this, I'm like, you don't really care about telling a fun story about Spider-Man's villains. I mean, like, would I love to see a Spider-Man versus Sinister Six movie? Yeah, I think I did. It's called No Way Home. The sixth one is J. Jonah Jameson. Like, you literally did make a Sinister Six movie. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Marvel made that. And you funded it.
Well, and the thing is, like, you know, there's limits and bounds, like what they could do with the character. Marvel has been scrambling to find their new leads of the MCU, right? To replace Tony Stark and Iron Man. And Tom Holland is this young, incredibly talented actor. Oh my God, let him be the new lead. And then his relationship with these other characters will uplift them and let them carry a franchise on their backs.
It's how the Marvel Comics universe works. There was a book that ran for like hundreds of issues called Marvel Team Up, and the book was introduce the audience to smaller characters through Spider-Man. Spider-Man teaming up with the Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, Namor, you know, everybody. And he's our ride-along character because statistically speaking, you're probably buying Spider-Man. And here's this new character, and we see it through the lens of like this street-level character. That's a wonderful way to introduce or reintroduce the Marvel universe, is through the lens of Spider-Man. And since Spider-Man movies are never going to be less than $200 million anyway, every time you make one, you might as well like put other heroes in them. You might as well go like, okay, this one he's I mean, literally like No Way Home. It's like, okay, it's him and Doctor Strange. Cool. Okay, it's him and Iron Man. Kind of.
I hate the idea that it happened twice in the Marvel TV shows where Falcon and the Winter Soldier's having its final set piece in New York, and Spider-Man isn't even in the background. You could even just have Tom Holland ADR, and you could have like a web shot in the background and be like, hey, Captain Falcon America, I webbed up this guy over here. He goes, the kid's here. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
cool.
all they
Drop a
need.
little dialogue.
Well,
That's
and rumor
great.
has it, apparently, not even rumor, but like conjecture has it, they said like they told them no. Like everybody who makes these Marvel shows goes like, oh, and we asked for Spider-Man and they told us no. And it's like, what a free and open and creative space you're in, where like this contract is in place to like supposedly work together, and yet they're like, no, all the
Yeah.
time.
No, it's so dumb. And if we like allow our Tom Holland Spider-Man to take a leadership role and like he'll age. He'll actually finally grow up. I was talking about this last night that Tom Holland as an actor, sometimes I'll like watch him do interviews. I'm like, that's an adult man.
Yes.
And other times I still kind of view him as like a kid. And I think like it'd be great if we could let him age up as Spider-Man. We have our Peter Parker. And then, you know, if when Tom's ready to exit the role for a while, that's when we have our Death of Spider-Man concussive moment, Miles Morales into the universe thing. And that's great. And then, hey, he'll come back later.
Right.
Do some universal thing or whatever.
Or whatever
and then we
they
can
need
have
to
our
do. I mean, like you don't, Spider-Man doesn't have to be the center of the universe in
Yeah.
order for him to be the point of view character for your universe. Like Spider-Man doesn't have to go to the Guardians or go into space in order for Guardians 4 to work. Right.
Yeah.
Some of these are independently like sustainable franchises that you don't need to worry about it. Is Thor one of them? It used to be. I wonder. I think the people would go see Thor 5 without Spider-Man in it. But again, like he's one of those like proven commodities that works, and he's got the charisma, the connection, the history. They need to fix it. They need to fix that problem.
It breaks my heart entirely that he has not been the lead of an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we may never get that because of these rights issues.
Yeah.
That Marvel doesn't want to do that. Marvel does it specifically because they know them. Sony did do this once where they ripped the rights away from Marvel.
Yes.
During this license sharing agreement. And
Yep.
I know now they have like a longer in perpetuity agreement going on, but
I don't know what I honestly don't know what the details are. I'm sure that they're like some of them are out, some of them are leaked, some of them are conjecture. We don't know, but like they need to square this circle because I think it's in the DNA of the universe. Like I suspect that if the Fantastic Four works, because the Fantastic Four was the first group of Marvel, like so it's like the Fantastic Four was put in everything. They were literally in everything, including the first issue of Spider-Man. So it's like. Back in the day in 1963, like Marvel would put the Fantastic Four in things to prop up the other things, including the Avengers multiple times. But I think Marvel's banking on that happening again. But like, it's so frustrating because I think at the core of it, it's just that it's a question of money.
Yeah.
The people at Sony aren't creative. They don't care about telling a good story. So it's like, why are they making Spider-Man spin-off movies? Why are they making Spider-Man villain animated pictures? Because they want to get as much money as they can, and they want to get credit. I think that's the other thing. There's another big part of it. It's ego, but forgetting ego for a second, ego can be bought. You know, you offer them $3-4 billion for Spider-Man. It's over. They don't have to worry about it anymore. But like Disney doesn't want to spend that money. They'd rather spend it on like streaming services nobody asked for, or, you know, God knows what the hell they're doing, like animatronic cartoon characters, or just pay the effing money. Like, that's all anyone cares about.
Yeah. Well, and in other Spider-Man related news, we have a new Nicolas Cage Spider-Man TV show in the works, SpiderMan Noir. They've offered the role to Nicolas Cage. This is with Amazon.
Yeah.
It's a Sony Studios thing, but Amazon production or whatever.
Yeah.
They've had the rights for decades now, honestly, and this is the first time they've attempted to use it. And you know what? We're excited about it. I think excited enough. I'd like to see it through fruition. But if it ends up being without Spider-Man, where it's Nicolas Cage just walking around implying Spider-Man, actually, I'd still watch that. It's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, because Nicolas Cage is very Nicolas Cage has his own kind of like cachet. But I'm not excited because I don't care. Like, I like Spider-Man in the context of the MCU, or in the case of the comic books, in the context of the Marvel Universe. I like Spider-Man movies about Spider-Man. I'm not here. I would never watch a Spider-Man spin-off show. I barely watch Spider-Man shows as it is because most of them are quite terrible.
Truly.
Especially the last two.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then you get a spectacular Spider-Man gem in there, and then it's
kill it. That's Disney's fault, I should say. Disney
killed it. Disney killed it. It's crazy because Disney has. They could hire the entire creative team of that show, title it something different, and then keep it
Spider-Man
going.
And just move on.
Just move on. But they won't do that because they're idiots.
Ego. They're like,
Ego.
no, because what people will learn from it is that we just copied what Sony did, and that we can't have that.
Well, guys, this is as much as me and Sal can stomach talking about Spider-Man. Now we're three videos deep into discussing studio greed and lack of education. And Sal, you called a Sony producer illiterate earlier, and it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But that's the end of this for us, guys. Let us know what you think below about an animated Sinister Six movie. Ooh, I bet you really want that one, guys. That'll be cool.
Let us know.
Let us know what you think. Until then, buy this hot sauce. It's literally brought to you by hand by the Comic Story team. Benny made it with Houston in tow themselves over in Colorado, and then it can be in your doorsteps from Benny's house to yours. Okay, all right, goodbye. We've been Absolutely. We'll see you someday, somehow. Good day. Goodbye.